Are you there?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We can just kind of start talking normal and then I'd give the introduction in post, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, that way you can be like if you don't like he's like, well, here's this a-hole.
We thought this was going to be a good time. Turned out to be the opposite.
Yeah, I had a diarrheal awesome time.
All right. Hello, everybody. And this is the. See, I can't do it like that.
There's no pressure, dude. You're gonna edit, so you can be like, hey, this is Turd Face Jenkins. You're listening to Talking
Yeah.
Shit.
See, that's way better. We were trying to think of a name for the Bloodlust-Interview section, and it's impossible. The best thing we came up, well, we didn't come up with. One of the writers came up with Face Off,
I like Blood Fart.
Blood Fart. That's pretty good.
You could be like Paul Blart, Blood Fart.
Paul Blart, Blood Fart.
Blood Shart. I don't know.
Well, let's see here. Is there anything we can't talk about?
9. Anything you want, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah, anything, man. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of incredible to me. Like I had like pretty much, yeah, do interviews here and there on blogs and stuff like that. But the last person to interview me when like late night cable, like a couple of weeks before it came out, they didn't ask me really about the movies much at all. It was more of just like kind of a bio. It's like, you let them go by what they're part of what you do interests them the most. And I would say I spent half the time talking about like, my childhood and stuff, so it was a little Mark Maroney, which was fine. I'm happy to do that. But as far as someone looking for information about the film stuff themselves or whatever, or, just curiosity, there are things that someone who watched stuff on YouTube or whatever might go like, hey, what happened to this person? Or, hey, why'd you do that? Or, hey, why'd you stop doing that? Or, did this person die? Or, or something like, what I mean? And I'm like, I'll answer anything, dude. Anything.
All right. I mean, I really have so much I want to ask you about. Mainly your whole you just have seem to have the best attitude.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, I don't know what to say except for I think you've got a good attitude too, man. I mean, I'm a I'm a fan of the Bloodlust, fan of the
Yeah,
show.
you are our first fan letter.
Long time listener, first time being interviewed her. I just now you're in Ohio, right?
Yes, sir.
And Amy and them are in some of them are in Michigan. Amy's in like Detroit or
They're
something.
right, yeah, they're right outside Detroit in a nice little lakeside suburb.
Okay. Well, I dig Ohio. I've had fun times there. I got a lot of friends in Dayton, and I've of course done Cinema Wasteland a few times, which is the best convention ever, like the best that I've ever been to. And you know how it's the best because when I talk to like uh, famous people or cult film people, and then happen to mention Wasteland, they're always talking about how much they love that show.
The first person I interviewed, Jorge De La Rosa.
I listened to that one. Totally.
Um, yeah, he's all about Cinema Wasteland, and I was supposed to go up there this year with him, but my family got sick, so I had to stay home and tend tend to the wife.
Hey, no, that's cool. That way they stay alive longer, and you could eventually all go together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a really good. It's a better plan in the long run.
Yeah, and and Dayton's rad because well, my good friend Henrik Kuto works out of Dayton, and some really good actors like Aaron Ryan, Joni Durian, some of his crew, and then well, the late great Andy Kopp, also from Dayton, Ohio, and I believe Jim Van Bever as well. So a lot of cool stuff in Ohio, man. I like going there. Haven't been in a couple of years. Had a really good time the last time I was there. I went to oh god, what was it? The Inglewood Cinema, which is now closed. Andy was having his monthly cult film shows there, and surprised me by screening a trailer for my movie Dollface. I was not expecting that. What a class act he was.
We have some really cool theaters up here. We still have a theater. It's in Akron called the Highland Theater, and you can go in and you sit in a booth, and they have booze.
That's so cool, man. That's like a porn theater almost.
Yeah, it's just like a porn theater minus the public masturbation, but all the fun of the camaraderie.
Right, right. They like that. Those tissues, those for the rom-coms. Those are for the dramas. That's what that's for. Don't get any crazy ideas, man. We had this one guy we had to kick out of The Revenant. It was not cool. He really liked bears, and I misunderstood the description of the movie.
I'll tell you what, I was very shocked when I switched from because the first thing I heard was Amy on the Cinema File.
Oh yeah.
And then so I listened to a ton of Cinema Files, and then I looked into your movies, and it was a much different situation.
Oh well, I mean, the Cinephile is part of my job, like so what I
Right.
do, and then Gonzorific is a hobby. So there's, I kind of I tend to not use one for the other, and then just sort of like writing, being a journalist, entertainment journalist means you often got to keep track of all the new things and write about stuff. I mean, my reviews this week were of High Rise and Lego Scooby Doo Haunted Hollywood. But
That's it's pretty good.
well, I try to do a variety there, especially if I've just done one soul-crushingly depressing movie review or whatever. But there's in Athens, I'm the last person to be covering film out there. But in my as a hobby, and this goes way longer than my career in journalism or even in the news media. Making movies is something I've always liked to do. It's like way before that.
How old were you when you started making movies?
Well, I was acting in home movies from some of my earliest memories, because Dad had one of those early camcorders where you carry the whole VCR around with you on your shoulder. But I made my first ones around age 12, so we're talking maybe 89, 90, something like that, around junior high time, I guess I would say.
The only times I ever made movies, I think I was about 12 or 13 years old, and a friend of mine and I used to make them. They were about UFOs and Sasquatch, things of
Oh
that
God, that's
nature.
cool. Do you still have those?
They're on VHS tapes buried somewhere at my mom's house. I should really find them.
Oh, that would be great, man. There's a big interest now in shot on video stuff. It's like it's amazingly like a lot of the oldest Gonzorific stuff, because we are now in like our 15th year. There's been a lot of people that are just like, even though I've got some of the old ones on YouTube, they like really want, you know what I mean, like physical copies of this stuff. It's just I guess that's part of the whole cult of VHS is now sort of become now this cult of shot on video. There's a big thing about stuff that used to be regarded as garbage for many years is now being given the proper respect. So it's pretty cool. I think you could I think you got some gems there people are waiting on from you.
I really might. My tiny homemade UFO ship.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I should really find that. I'm gonna have to dig.
And Sasquatch, man, you got a whole other fan base right there. You're covering two big areas as far as cult movies are concerned.
I would really like to get back on the train. My new goal, and it's weird how much you've had an influence on me just listening and watching all your movies. And you've been my best plug into finding out how all this stuff really works.
Oh, hey man, we live in the easiest time ever to make movies. I mean, there's
Right.
like a 10-year gap in my movie making hobby that I spent as a punk rock musician, just because it was so hard to do it in the 90s and stuff. So I kind of switched over to music just because it was easier. And when I came back was right around the time when computers could edit, and you were shooting on digital video rather than old VHS tape or whatever. But now, unbelievable. I mean, you don't need any of the stuff you used to even need like 5-10 years ago. I mean, like distributors, forget it. You can send your movies out and people can watch them instantly. It's the coolest.
You recommended, you talked about, I'm not going to go, I promise listeners, I'm not going to go on another Tangerine rant, but you recommended Tangerine on
Yeah.
Cinemaphile, and you're like, listen, I keep telling people to watch this and nobody's, no, I want to watch something I've already seen.
Yeah.
So I watched it and it blew my mind.
And that was phones, man. Like that I have
Right.
that iPhone, that the 5, it's incredible what they did,
So I was like, they did it.
Yeah.
I want to do it.
Well, there's this idea now that like, oh, I need to have this camera, or I need to be shooting 4K or whatever. And it's like, by the time you spend money to buy like the super HD Area Alexa, whatever thing, even just to rent it. You could have bought a camera that would have been just as good of an image, like the BCD camera that some of these shoots have, and spent that money instead on building the coolest set, building a UFO, building a Sasquatch. You could have built an army of Sasquatches for what the red costs you. You don't need that camera. You need to put something cool in front of any camera. For example, the people in Tangerine, who are not special effects, but are human beings that happen to be really amazing. And there's just no excuse now after Tangerine. Absolutely none.
No, I mean they did it. They made one of the best movies I've ever seen on phones.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it was in my. I believe it was number 2 or number 3 from last year, and it's only because Shaun the Sheep was the one that blew my mind.
I used to love that show.
The movie's just perfection. I stand by that.
I want to talk about late night cable a bit.
Okay, man. Yeah, that's the newest one. That's the I guess it was May 3rd, and then a couple days later we do the physical. We have DVDs that have all the bonus features, and we also have it on Amazon On Demand for rental. So you'll know it from there's a remote control shoved in D's cleavage there. It's hard to miss.
It's worth it having the hard copy just to have it on your shelf.
Oh yeah,
It's good looking cover.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I can't remember where we shot that. We shot that a couple times. Once in a hotel room, and then once on a shoot for a movie or whatever. We just wanted to get that. It's a thing to get the boobs just right. There's a exact science with her. It's you wouldn't think it, and that's the idea. The illusion of, oh, I just shoved this in my boobs. Nope. A lot of technical stuff goes into that.
You really seem to put a lot of focus on putting women in your movies. I mean, mainly, I'd say, what'd you have? Besides you, I think there was 2 fellas.
Yeah, and that was because Dee was the one that wrote the late night cable the central story, and so she wrote parts for Diego Wolf and I to be in, and then she directed it. So that's normally no, I don't really put I put very few or none parts for men in the movies, just because I kind of don't want to be like regular movies, so that's kind of why I do that.
What makes you want to do that?
It's my world. It's my existence. I don't have a whole lot of male friends, and I'm also kind of because of being a journalist and stuff. I have to see a lot of just regular mainstream movies a lot of times, because that's the stuff that the newspaper wants to be covered and everything. So yeah, you kind of start to notice, like, well, here's a movie full of men. Here's another movie full of men. Here's another movie full of men, and it's just more like, well, I want to be like an alternative, right? I don't want to be, just want to kind of stand out, and I got a lot of really, really talented, incredible, beautiful, hilarious, artistic, powerful women in my life, and I would like them to be making movies and acting and writing and all that other stuff. So it's just kind of like part of it is my surroundings. Every artist is just a filter for their environment. And
I mean, I'm right there with you, being the token dude on a podcast
exactly
with 4 women.
Yeah, I love it, and so you guys kind of understand that. It's what I want to do. I don't want to be part of the ocean of people that just want to be the next Sam Raimi or Rob Zombie or whatever. I love those movies. I often find myself defending people like Eli Roth to other horror fans and stuff. But as far as me, what I'm going to put out there, they say write what you know. That's kind of like always the advice. I'm very influenced by old school B movies like Russ Meyer stuff and William Castle stuff and Doris Wishman stuff, and also horror that I've seen. So I like kind of the idea of mixing all that up, but then giving the women a little bit more to do than maybe they used to do.
For sure. I never had to think about this stuff until I started on the Bloodlust.
Yeah.
Like it never. And then the more I see of it, I'm like, wow, there really is a giant gap in things.
Yeah, and plus being a male, particularly like a white male, I'm 39 years old, so you kind of start to be cognizant of the fact that the whole world was kind of set up for you in terms of entertainment. You're the growing up, you're the target for almost everything. It's like the action movies, the the comic books, the TV shows, the toys. You know, a lot of it is for you, and then because it's being made by a bunch of dudes, you know, a bunch of white dudes too, and you start to realize, well, this is just all kind of subjective. You know, if other people besides a bunch of white dudes are making this stuff, maybe we'll get a better variety. And you know, if you've spent your whole life being kind of catered to and having things set up for you and all that opportunity, you realize, God, well, I could take that privilege I've got and change this, make it a little more interesting.
That's a really great way to look at it.
That's what I do.
That's what I do.
That's what I do.
I've been living in the bubble of getting everything tailor made for me.
Yeah, and you know, it's fine. Some people are like, yeah, this is great, but for some of us, we're just like, man, this is old. I do not want this. You know, it's over.
Right. I would like sweet things for my daughter when I hope by the time she's old enough to start realizing what's happening, she doesn't even have to think about it.
Yeah, that would be cool, man. You know, it really would, because you know, my kid is 3, and she's, you know, she's into all kinds of stuff, and loves, you know, like Rocky Horror and Scooby Doo and Peanuts and all this other stuff. And you know, at this age, she could do and be whatever she wants to be. Everything's cool. There's no, oh, you can't do that because you're a girl, or that's not for girls, or whatever like that. And you know, you're in the toy stores and you're looking at stuff, and you're like, man, why is this so cool and that's not cool? I remember with Star Wars, because she likes Star Wars, trying to find a Ray doll. You know what I'm saying? Like a, you know, like
They didn't make them.
ones. It was crazy. I'm like, wait a minute. I bought her the poster with Ray and BB-8 on it, so she sees that every day. And I can't get to the store and buy. I'm not trying to go off on this whole thing, but you realize that like the things are getting better, but there's still a long way to go in terms of that, because you got a lot of people that got this idea that just because things used to be this way, that's the way they always got to be, and that's just not true. Like, not at all.
In late night cable, you definitely do. All the women in it are funny. They're all doing very funny things.
Yeah, yeah, they're like that in real life too. They're, you know, they're geniuses. They're very inspiring people.
I saw one of the videos on the Gonzorific feed that was them having like an ass measuring contest.
Oh God, that was
Was
on my birthday. I think, I don't know whose idea that was. It was just
it was a great idea, whoever it was.
that might have been Sam's idea. A lot of her art is very ass oriented for some reason. It's a part of her body that she really likes. You know, an aspect of her anatomy that she thinks is, you know, because butts are funny, and but also they're kind of like sexualized and idealized, and you know, it's always kind of a thing. So she thought, yeah, ass war just became a fun. I just was like, man, if we're sitting around doing this and we're having fun and it's funny, why not just film it? Because it's happening, you know? And so it turned it into a great video.
You know what, one of my favorite things I saw on the Gonzorific feed, for some reason, I don't know if it was because it was late at night and I was sleepy, but it was when you're sitting at a table with one of your friends doing like a finger dance. In the background is a song you made about, "Hi, I'm Andrew the Asshole."
Yeah.
It made me cry.
Oh, dude. Well, that was Jorge Regula by the Moldy Peaches. We just did like a, you know what I'm saying, like a kind of funny cover of it or whatever. But that's who is that? That's Mia Mayo, and she is the host of the I Spit on Your Gravy. She actually created that show. It's a horror cooking show that is on our YouTube channel. And I think Andrew the Asshole was because at the time I was on the outs with somebody that I had been friends with for a very long time. Not her. She and I were thick as thieves, but it was more of just like, yeah, they were trying to make me feel, you know, feel like a jerk and stuff. And I started to wonder, well, am I? You know, my first thought is, oh God, is that really what I am? You know, when you start to see yourself through the eyes of the person that's making you feel bad, rather than remembering, you know, no, that's not who I am. And so that was just kind of my thing, like my little passive aggressive way of getting back my power that they took, you know, just by making a song calling myself an asshole, and then sitting there with my friend doing the little finger dance there, which is, you know, it's a family tradition.
That hit me in a weird way.
Well, I hope it did, man. No one ever asked me about that. You're the first one.
Well, I don't know. It brought back like 10,000 memories of my slightly younger life. Rocked me.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's the kind of thing where I hope, just by kind of being there, that the kind of people that might see it and take something from it, I like to know that it's kind of available there, because with punk music and indie music, kind of what I learned was like the thing is people like to discover it for themselves and find it the kind of audience that grasps on to DIY things and indie things don't want it to be sold and marketed to them. That feels kind of false and stuff. There's like the thrill of finding it and then like kind of this is mine kind of a thing. And some of them like to tell their friends, hey man, I just found this cool thing. But I feel like more now than it used to be, it's sort of just kind of person to person. And they're like, that seems to be kind of the fan base. Just a lot of people out in the ether that I'll never meet really dig it for some reason.
That's something I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to talk to you about the difference between networking and building genuine relationships because you genuinely dig people's stuff.
Oh, sure, man. Well, what is it that what is it that you have observed or are struggling with or want to know? Because I mean, this is a thing that I've been face to face with, and some of the great criticism that I've received because of my unwillingness to network in the
That's
proper
it.
way.
I mean, I had to deal with this. I used to live in Nashville. I'm an audio engineer, and you go out to a bar or anywhere, and you start talking to somebody for 5 minutes, and you're like, "Hey, this is a normal person," and then they're card sharking you,
Huh.
and it's just the worst. It's the biggest turnoff, and people do it. People will send us their movies to screen, and a lot of people will do it, and you can tell they really wrote it to you.
Yeah.
Hey, we listened to this show, or we've been reading your site and we like it, blah, blah, blah. Give this a check out, would you? And sure, I'm super happy to. But you get the copy pasted super spam mail, and it just doesn't feel right.
Oh, dude, yeah. Well, I mean, me in entertainment media, I mean, I can tell when stuff has been formulated to me because they'll put my name on it and they name my publication on the top, but in the body of it, they've forgotten to change it back from the last person they sent it to. I've gotten press releases like that. I'm just like, oh boy, I know times are hard, but I'm not your person. No, we have networking events here in Athens. Film Athens, a great organization that has been behind Gonzorific for the last 12 years or so. Got us all our first screenings before they even built an art house theater in our town. They were showing us at rock clubs and stuff. But they have meetups once or twice a month, and it's where people that are interested in filmmaking, cameras, makeup, actors, writers, all this stuff can kind of come and talk to each other. The thing is, while I do like a lot of those people, and I am fully supportive of their endeavors, and I've had a lot of them on the podcast to talk, I don't really need it because making movies is what my friends and I do. So I've kind of already got a crew, And as far as reaching out to the media for attention, there's really no need for that either. I'm not in the movie industry. I don't have to be because I can make movies on my own. I can distribute them on my own. People can pay me directly for them. So why do I need anything? I'm not trying to conquer the world or get on HBO or even Netflix. That's not the place for what it is that I do. I'm not trying to enter the film market as a competitor. I'm an alternative to what is already there.
Right. I guess what I'm getting at is meet people that you can be friends with and that you really actually like, and then start doing things with them.
Yeah, it's the truth, man. People ask me like, God, how did you find these people? It's like, the weird thing happens. I see things I'm interested in. I go see those performances or, plays or, in our case, burlesque and roller derby are a big component of Gonzorific's crew. You go there and be a real person who's actually interested. You follow your own interest, and just don't be a creep. Dig it and show your support and Just be like, hey man, I've been thinking about making a movie. What do you think about it? And they'll either go like, oh, I would love to do that, or I know somebody who'd love to do that, or good luck, you know. But be a real person. Of course, if you're just trying to wheel and deal, you should be fake and go as high as you can, because don't get your emotions involved, because you need to start learn how to crush heads and take rejection and step over people and whatever you can, whatever it takes to get right to the top and enjoy
Do you get
yourself.
do you get nervous to show your films to anybody anymore?
No, not really. I'm trying to think, because it's more of just like fun, you know what I mean? We're going like, oh God, look at us on the movie screen. It's so informal, and we kind of have the entire control of the situation, because the Gonzorific films, when they're screened in public, are screened in public at the Gonzorific show. So it's not like I'm screening for some kind of, you know what I mean, like competitive prize or a room full of strangers, or you know what I mean. It's usually kind of just us and the midnight crowd or whatever. So and plus, the kind of things I would be nervous about. I'd be nervous about, is this disc going to play here? Or, is their sound right? Or, you know what I mean? Or is it going to start on time? Or, you know what I mean? Or is this well organized or something like that? Those are the kind of things that make me nervous. And I think that goes back more toward, being in bands and stuff like that. And you just walk into a club and go just like, does anyone here have any freaking idea what anything is going on tonight? So those are more of my concerns. The movies, God, by the time they're screened, I've seen them a bajillion times. And what I'm in there watching is everybody else. I'm like waiting to see what their faces are going to be like when this part happens, or, I'm pretty sure this is going to get a laugh. So I like to, it's just a trip. To me, it's just it's fun. I think it's funny that people are actually sitting and watching it in a public venue. It's like, I can't believe this. It's just kind of, yeah, it never gets old. But no, I've never been nervous. I've shared the room with people that are, I've seen people get up and leave their own screening. I've had people angry and get up and leave mine. I've been confronted in the lobby with angry people, but I've never.
You've had
No.
people get angry at you?
Yeah. Sometimes. I mean, it's more of like their sensitivity, really, because I'm not out there trying to be shocking or offensive. That's like, South Park's job or whatever. I'm not, I'm not trying to find out what's going to press people's buttons. Just try to, do whatever we find interesting, and if someone else digs it or not, it's kind of none of my business, really.
That's what late night cable played like to me. It played the whole time. The main thing I kept thinking is, this looks like they're having so much fun.
We are. This is, yeah. I mean, my biggest thing is like sometimes I'll get home and I'll watch some footage and I'll be like, oh God, I wasn't in focus there. It's because I was laughing so hard, or sometimes people are so funny I can't look. You know what I mean? Like I can't watch them do it because I'll be laughing too hard, so I gotta hide my face. And then other times, like Jump Off, which is one of the horror ones that's on there. It's about a ghost, right? That's
The parking lot ghost.
yeah, which is based on a real thing that actually happened to me.
What?
Yeah, it's based on a true story. But there's parts in there where the woman has to like stand in front of me, the actor, and be all ghosty, and it just creeped me right out. And there's a gag reel on there at the end because I'm just like, I can't take it. It was too
That gag
scary.
reel was cracking me up. You just kept saying, that is so scary, and then you just start laughing.
Yeah, because you're a big old dick. You're like writing scary stuff, going like, oh, this is gonna be spooky. Then when it's right in front of you, it's like, oh God, what did I do? I'm scaring the shit out of myself. But yeah, that really happened. For those who've seen the movie, and for those who have not, I'll just give a brief overview. It's a woman who's in a parking lot being harassed by someone who's needs to have their car jumped, who wants that. And it's it's always kind of an awkward thing. You see somebody in their car, you can tell they're having problems, and you're really a jerk and go, God, I hope they don't ask me, is it going to ruin my car? Do I know how to hook up jumper cables? Oh God. But I had one person, just like try to get in the car with me. They were very upset, and I thought, maybe they're going to try to kill me. They were very desperate seeming. And so I punched them. Then I got in my car and I drove off. It was middle of the night. They were a little bit more aggressive than I was comfortable with. So I kind of took that, and also took the guilt of not helping people, and turned it into a little horror comedy.
That's great. Dude, that would be so scary. People, pushy, desperate people are up there in my fright level with fast moving elderly people.
Also, in the middle of the night, like you're tired, the last thing you're expecting is to have an intense situation happen to you, you know? And so I've been scared by people because I worked a night job for many, many years, and the parking lot was just, kind of desolate when you get out there. And anything like that would just, I would get scared and I would get pissed that they scared me. And I would just want to punch. In that situation I did. But in the movie, things pan out quite differently.
I really loved the your daughter's film in it.
Oh, hey, you want to know how that happened? Like, I think she's the only like 1-year-old filmmaker ever in Athens to have a movie screen at a midnight movie show. She,
She might be the only one in the world.
I don't know. I don't know. People are like, how did she make that? And I was like, well, my dad's advice was, if she ever reaches out for your camera when you're taking pictures of her, like you do with kids, he's like, let her get her hands on it. He's like, that's what I did with you, and I know that's true because there are pictures of me with his still cameras and stuff. So when I'd take her picture and she was a baby and she could actually like reach and grab things, she started to reach for the camera. So I would turn the video on and just I'd watch them and they were funny. You'd hear a little breathing and hear her hitting the buttons, and they were just cute. Of course, some of them you have to like, okay, I can't watch 5-10 minutes of this. It's it starts to seem like it's some LSD home video. But there was one that she did when she started to be able to walk, and it was just so freaking creepy. It's a little kid walking around and just with the new legs kind of just, and you hear the breathing and she's hitting the buttons, and it's, oh god. And I was like, we were watching it going like, this is spooky. And then I put some spooky music over it. Done.
Yeah, the spooky music really brought it home.
Yep. And it's not just like I wouldn't put any BS in there or whatever. She's filming her shadow, her hand, and she doesn't know she's filming. She's just holding the camera. It's just one of those happy accidents where we screened it and people were like, she got the applause at the end. It was a cool moment. So the way I figured is if she does end up interested in film or whatever, she can at least say, hey man, when I was 1 year old, I had this movie at a midnight screening show.
Yeah, that's the ultimate street cred.
Yeah, and if she doesn't, then she just be like, Dad, please stop telling everyone showing my movie when they come over.
I'm just
Either
proud of you, honey.
Yeah, either way is cool with me. I don't, it's whatever. But I'm glad you like that. I consider it to be, Gonzorific isn't like a straight up and down horror organization. We have made really gory stuff and we have made really scary stuff. We've also made funny things, romantic comedies, dramas, whatever. But I feel like in terms of the late night cable, the program, her movie is the only truly scary thing on there.
It really is unsettling.
I can't really take much credit.
I've got some creepy recordings of my daughter when I'd be recording somebody's music and she would wander into the studio and end up going and singing into the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got some real odd stuff of her singing like Jesus Loves Me.
Oh,
and it's just she's kind of doing it real quiet. And it just seems so weird.
Dude, just you telling me that is creepy. Oh, tell me you kept that. Oh man.
Oh, it's in there somewhere.
That's great.
I should really utilize her more. Just get her to say weird stuff. She says weird stuff often.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing is like they have to be becoming a dad, which is a fairly new thing still in my life. You start to realize like, well, they need to see you doing stuff, see you being creative, be around people, just sort of, kind of experience that climate. And I have friends that like to keep their kids away from all their social things and, just like, like they want to lead this kind of separate life. It's like having the kid around is some kind of, I wouldn't say hindrance, but you know what I mean? They're trying to kind of delineate. And I just think, well, if I was her, I would want to be around this. And it would be one thing if she was scared of everything, but she's not. She loves scary things. And so there's a bonus feature on late night cable called Dead Stuff, and it is a music video made by my friends Claire and Christina. And before we went out to that abandoned field to shoot that rotten vagina zombie dance thing, Christina made Clara up in my bathroom, and my daughter was walking around and spent most of her time actually standing outside the bathroom watching the makeup being done. And I was so stoked about that. I was happy that she was interested in that. And she could have been doing anything. She could have been sitting in the kitchen, playing with a toy, or you know what I mean, or running around screaming, or whatever, or wanting attention. But she really watched them. She really dug it.
That's really cool.
And I wouldn't go like, "You can't see the scary half-naked booty thing. Please, I don't want you to I want you to see the body as some weird thing. I want you to see it as, a part of your creative instrument. What if you want to be a dancer or something like that? It's might as well, I don't know, see people being creative. That's the way it was around my house. I saw my dad do all kinds of awesome stuff. And then as we got older, he would kind of, make an environment where we could be creative too. That's where I learned it from.
It's very fun being a dad.
Yeah.
I said on I believe it was our Rare Exports episode, Amy asked me how old my daughter would have to be for me to let her watch Rare Exports. And I said, I had to think about it because I haven't come to that crossroads yet. But I said the moment she asks me to watch it.
Yeah.
And I let her know, hey, this is what's going to go down in this. And she's like, yeah, I know. I'm ready. So, okay, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's person to person. When I was a kid, I was scared of everything. Didn't want to watch any of that stuff. Dad was a huge horror fan, and I was afraid of all that. And but my curiosity, I explored like on my own. I read the horror books and magazines, and the old movies, and I just kind of worked my way up to it gradually. But she just really, she's just a very, very brave soul, and I don't think this stuff is kind of really hitting her yet. But she knows what she wants to see. So the question would be, what if when she wants to see violent things, how will I feel about that? And that I will have to carefully consider, because if she, comes up to me at age like 6 or 7 and goes, "Hey Dad, can I watch Saw?" I'll be like, probably not.
Yeah, I would be a little concerned with showing the kids torture porn.
Yeah, or just like things with a lot of guns and people shooting people and blood and death, because it's like I don't know, that kind of stuff bothers me. So even though I'll sit down and watch The Deer Hunter or something like that, or Taxi Driver, or actually Hostel 2, love that movie. But when it comes to her, people are like, well, what can she not see? I'm like, I don't care if she sees nudity. I don't care if she sees, some kind of, sex thing or whatever. Because to me, that's, kids doesn't really know what's going on. If they want to know, they can ask me. And a lot of times they think it's kind of funny or silly. But violent things, and only because it disturbed me. And I just think that's a little too. I'd feel weird if I was watching something that had some like gun death while she was in the room. And we've even taken her to some movies that I found kind of scary, like that were kind of crossing the line. Jungle Book, one of them, and didn't bother at all. It bothered me a little bit.
I heard that movie was pretty intense.
It is. Oh crap! But she did not care. It's fine. I have yet to see her scared of anything that happens in a movie, but I'm not trying to test it either.
No, it's this new breed of kids. The only thing that's scared my daughter so far was when Bruce Banner turned into the Hulk in the Avengers.
Well, Hulk was one of my big ones when I was a kid. Terrified. Of course, that was Lou Ferrigno, but I was scared, very scared of the Hulk. That was a big one for me.
She loves him though. She loves the Hulk, but only when he is the Hulk.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a freaky thing to see, and God, we were talking about the witches with Amy not too long ago, and she's talking about what a movie for kids. But the kid, that when he turns into a mouse, they don't just show like some shrinking effect. They have this like progressive, horrifying like animatronic in the between it, and I was like, God, nightmare stuff right there. Ugh.
Oh, how I love old practical effects and puppets.
Yeah, it's maybe they're not maybe the CGI has lessened their fear because they know that it was made by a computer and it couldn't like someone couldn't prop that thing up in a chair in your kitchen late at night. You know what I mean?
Green Room came in solid with some actual practical effects, which we were all very happy with.
Yeah, I listened to that one today. Actually, it was I had a lot of my friends hadn't seen it yet for some reason. I don't know if it's just like coming and going through people's towns or the opening is really for A24 their release patterns can be kind of strange. But we ran out to see it a few weeks ago, and it was just like yeah,
Intense, right?
yeah, it was pretty. I suspected things from the very beginning though because their load in was way too well organized.
Right? I was like, this is not how this music scene works.
No venue is run that tight. They must be doing something. And then when there was that reveal about what's under it, I was like, that's right. No way. That was the I just wasn't going for it because I mean I know you had your points of contention with it too, and that was cool to hear. But yeah, no, we're not. Yeah, Shearer House isn't going to be putting on Green Room while everybody's still awake. It's not happening.
No. I forgot we have a little something in common. You have Gonzo-rific, and
Yes.
my old band I had with my friends when we were like 18 to like I'd say like 15 to 20 was called Gonzo Safari.
And that's a Muppet reference, correct?
Yeah, well, I came up with it as a Muppet reference, and then my friend thought it was like a Hunter S. Thompson reference. He's like, "That's awesome." I was like, "Yeah, man, Gonzo's the coolest, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And so we settled on it. We both thought it was cool for different reasons.
Yeah, Gonzo-rific is a combination of God, 5 years. That's a long time to have a band.
We never played anywhere. It was a group of us that met up, played in my friend's very nice mother's basement, and we just made up songs with no words and played them for ourselves and our friends.
God, that's the key to longevity for a band right there. 5 years. Yeah. Oh God, that's what I should have done a lot in some of those. Maybe we
We
should have
take
just.
turns switching instruments.
That's the way to do it, man. No, what is it? Gonzo-rific was a combination of Psychotronic, Michael Weldon's essential two books about cult film, and then of course I had Gonzo in there because I mean, yeah, lifelong Muppet fan, particularly Gonzo, very inspirational figure to me. Although I'm more of a Fozzie when you get right down to it.
I
But
heard
I
you
just,
say that on one of your episodes, and I really feel you're a strong Kermit.
I get that. I get that a lot. And I understand it because of my position in the organization and all that stuff. And in some ways that's true. But I see myself as Fuzzy. I see myself as a comic relief.
Hey, man, I'm not here to tell you which Muppet you are.
No, I'm just if I could be on it, yeah, that's what it is. Because yeah, no, Gonzo-rific it was a zine first, then it was a blog, and then it became making movies in 2001. But yeah, the Muppets, yeah, they're always gonna, yeah, they'll probably always be a model for me on how to live, how to conduct yourself, how to be a friend, and how to see the world and all of that stuff. But Gonzo in particular, I'm going to go back there someday. That song, that when I watch the Muppet movie, I have to turn the sound off because that particular part just kind of destroys me. Because I think I was always drawn to characters in particular that didn't quite know where they fit in the world. That's why I like Frankenfurter so much from Rocky Horror because it's more of just like he's searching for just a space where he can kind of be himself. But Gonzo's moment is more reflective, and you just start to it's like, wow, in a kids movie this is holy crap, what a heavy moment that part is.
Dude, they really get you in the feels. So they're the hit you in the feels masters.
They are. No, the Muppets they can totally. I even cry at Muppets from Space where he's got to decide whether or not to
go home or not.
Yeah, that just breaks me up too. I mean, I can't just, yeah, I'm a softie. I mean, I know I've had movies like Cannibal Sisters and, The Gash and Blood Witch and all that stuff, but
The Gash was really confusing to me.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what happened.
Oh, well, there's no, I mean, it's not really supposed to make a whole lot of sense. I feel like making sense is overrated. I'm not big on explanations. I feel like whatever you think happened is right. The Gash is
all right.
Yeah, it's a cursed object movie about, and this one is On DVD, I believe the Gash is on the Underground Cinema program, which is available for rental on Amazon or purchase from gonzoriffic.com. But the Gash is it's not a comedy, and
No,
these
it's
two
not.
women these two women are cleaning out one of them's grandmother's house after a grandmother's died, and they're going through all her old stuff and find an 8mm film camera. And just as a kind of a goof, they decide they're going to film each other with it, and they don't think it's going to work or anything like that. But kind of crazy things kind of happen to them, and lots of blood involved. And I purposely, didn't want to explain it because I don't necessarily have to play by the rules of movies. Don't have to tell you exactly how to think about everything. Just let it be a little weird. I like that.
Yeah, I was following, and then I just thought, where's all the blood coming from? I
Yeah.
texted Amy. Amy, where's all this blood coming from? She's like, I think it's coming from their vaginas. I'm
Yes,
like,
Amy,
it,
you're correct.
I think so. It could be.
Yeah. No, yeah. My idea was that the camera caused uncontrollable menstruation, and so to the degree of mania. And in the first night that we showed it, someone in the audience, a woman, stood up and screamed "fuck yeah" when all the
That's awesome.
started happening. And I was just like, that's what we want. It's what we want. Is it's and of course now we've got one that we're working on called Flow Day the 13th. So there will be more. Their Gonzoriffic's past is full of menstruation jokes and tampon gags, and I think we're kind of always going to do that because in terms of blood, men are still quite freaked out when you show those kind of things.
Oh, men, get over it.
Ah, whatever. You could show someone's head explode and they don't care, but yeah, little menstrual blood there, and they get some get some where they live.
The other, oh God, it's with the vampire women in the butt bite.
Okay. Whoa, that one is called. Oh, that one's not out yet. That one is called Lap Dance at the Gates of Hell.
Lap Dance at the Gates of Hell. I'm glad you had to think about the title for a second so I didn't seem like a jerk.
No, dude. No, we just, oh gosh, the way it works is we spend a year making whatever comes to mind. Everybody's like, I got this idea, I got this idea, I got this idea. So we end up, shooting most of that. And then we kind of package them all together, do a film festival of it. And then the DVD releases and the on-demand video releases are, our way of kind of everybody that follows us online that doesn't live here and can't get to the show. It's our way of making sure that they can see this stuff. But oftentimes we got to kind of make it make sense because you can't just release a film festival. You have to make a movie out of it. So Lap Dance at the Gates of Hell was one that was in the 2015 show. So that disc will actually be out next year. But it is about, somebody gets bit in the ass by a vampire.
And that was really funny.
Thanks. I don't know, man. I just sometimes I get little weird ideas and stuff, but I'm of the opinion that should always be kind of encouraged and enabled, because they're healthy, they're not going to hurt anybody, and our thing is like, God, I don't think I've ever seen that before. We got one called May of the Dead where the zombie curse is passed through oral sex, and so we have like a lesbian zombie thing, and I was like, well, I've never seen that. God, if I'm going to make entries in the two most tired horror genres in the face of the earth, the zombie and the vampire, I better come with something that they haven't seen before,
Yeah, that one was one I've definitely haven't seen either. The old May of the Dead. Both women in that were great.
Oh yeah, May of the Dead starred Zambarella and Joy Wood. And Joy Wood has since gone on to direct a couple of films of her own that have played in the Gonzoriffic shows. One called Nightmare and one called Nails, and those are really like violent, gory, and scary. And they're all female horror movies. There's like no men in them at all. But that was her first one with me. She later starred in a movie called Booty Meat that is about cannibals that eat butts. And I know it sounds like there's a lot of butt-oriented things, but I think the horror world and just the world in general in meat is very breast-oriented. So we want to kind of mess with that a little bit. Although we do have a breast-oriented movie called Barbara very inspired by Russ Meyer's Lorna. And so, yeah, fans of Russ Meyer will really like that. Fans of Orgy of the Dead would really like, oh God, what was the one we have? Dr. Humpenstein's Erotic Castle.
You have some of the greatest titles I've ever heard.
Oh, thanks. Well, that's because no one's telling me that's not a good title and it's not marketable because I don't owe anybody money. You know what I mean? Like, no, there's no investors or whatever. So I could pretty much do what I want to. And I was like, God, if it makes me laugh and it's not the, because, you know, on IMDb, what you do is you think of a title for your script and then you go on IMDb and look it up to see if anybody's ever called their movie that. So better to just go ahead and call it something no one would ever in their right mind call a movie. And then you're okay.
All this is making me realize that I don't have any friends with cool names like Zombarella, and I need to change that.
I think that was her roller derby name. That's what that is.
Well, I know. I'm guessing that's not on her birth certificate, but still.
I mean, I've not seen the birth certificate, but you know, her friends call her Zomba, so you know. But she was, yeah, it was a hotel. We shot that in a hotel room, and it's supposed to take place. Actually, jump off with the jumper cables takes place earlier in the evening before May of the Dead. Actually, Joy's character actually shows up as her job is as a security guard and looks in on the woman in the parking lot. So there's a little bit of shared universage going on there. But yeah, it would just us two. Often on the crew, it's just me and you know, like one or two other people shooting it and stuff like that. That way, you know, with your nude scenes or your partial nudity or whatever like that, or even just in, you know, like bra and underwear or whatever, and even just comedy. We try to make the people as comfortable as possible and surround it with as few crew and everybody knows everybody kind of situation so that we can be free to be creative and not be worried about, oh God, someone's seeing my nipple.
Right. It sounds like fun. I wish all my podcast pals didn't live so far away from me.
Well, the thing is, man, you guys can, when you go to a convention together, and I have already told Amy this because Kate Owens, who does the Cult Core episodes of my podcast with me, she's in Detroit. They need to be making movies together. Kate is an amazing actor. I've seen video of her from the Vagina Monologues that she'd done. She's great. I think you guys. I think the Bloodlust has a future in low budget film production. You guys have a very creative group there. You've already know what's happened in the horror genre. You're all very knowledgeable of that. So what you do is you kind of take your, let's say, sometimes disappointment or elation with what you've seen and go like, you know, if I would have made that movie, I would have done this. It's like, well, now you can go do it, and you can use your phone to do it, and anybody can. That's the great thing about it. You know, there is no expectation other than the one you place on yourself.
Yeah, I almost feel like a jerk since I sit down bi-weekly and either highly praise or take big dumps on movies over the internet. I've never made one, so it's like, who are you, man?
I mean, it's some film critics have made you know, really good movies. Paul Schrader, you know, Peter Bogdanovich, you know, some of the makers of some of the best things were film critics, you know. So really and truly, it only is going to add to your perspective as far as you know, being a film critic when you start to kind of make your own, you know, because you start to kind of understand things a little bit differently. And I'm not talking technically. I just mean, you know, things like story structure, you know, just tonal shifts, all that stuff. And you start to think about world cinema and the way how American movies are just kind of all kind of conditioned most of the time to go this one way. And you know, you realize that that's a really small view of how films are made. I recommend to everybody watch a series called The Story of Film. And if you can get past the kind of sing-song breeziness, let's call it, of this guy's accent that narrates it, it is the history of movies, but he goes through more than just the United States. And when you see that, it changes your whole perspective on film. And so you don't go like, oh God, when I need to be scary, I need to be like John Carpenter, or I need to be like Alfred Hitchcock. Like, well, wait a minute, man. Those are just two dudes, you know. There's a whole universe of stuff waiting to be digested by you and then spat out in your own specific way. And that's, to me, what's exciting about this is Like, at this point with Guns Horrific, I'm not even trying to like get my own ideas out there. I'm more excited about everybody else's. Late Night Cable, I would say, is only half me, if that.
It's a fun idea. The way you laced that whole movie together was very clever.
Well, thanks. That was yeah, it was also cool for the crew because we've been done with those movies for a while, but it gave us a chance to kind of like, breathe a little new life into them for us. And that way, by the time the disc comes out, these guys have something new and something old. You know what I mean? Because the movies were part of the festival, but the actual story of the movie, that's all like brand new, done. Like the final act of it, which is these a woman and a movie critic facing off. That was done, oh god, less than a month before the film came out, I would say.
Speaking of movies not from America, did you happen to catch Baskin yet? Or we decided
I've
maybe
not.
Baskin?
I have not watched it yet. I'm going to see Nice Guys, and then I'm gonna check out Baskin because it's like the movies that I want to watch, me personally, and the movies that I need to watch for work. Sometimes the me movies have to take a back seat, you know. And I am horribly, horribly, horribly out of the loop with most new horror, particularly. That's the one thing about it. I can't turn in a like you guys. The Bloodlust is a horror podcast, and thank goodness. I hear about a lot of cool movies from you guys. I love hearing all the different perspectives on the genre. I'm kind of out of the loop, and I'm extremely out of the loop when it comes to low budget indie stuff. So I really, as much as I've enjoyed talking to you, I really am interested in hearing, some of the future interviews that you're going to do with some of these people. Because I Guns Horrific blog, and before I was a journalist in the media, um, that was my thing. I was watching and reviewing and interviewing people on the ultra low budget scene. And at times I miss that. And at other times I go like, I don't know how I'd keep up with it now. There's so much out there.
That's it. It's overwhelming, really.
Well, the cream rises to the top, Jack, and the same number of great movies are made every year. That's what I'm saying. I would never want to be a horror filmmaker. That audience, to me, no offense to anyone that might be listening, they're impossible to please, particularly the ones that are like my age.
It's a very neck-beardy crowd.
They have made up their mind about what good movies were made, and what every movie made after that needs to be. And it's just odd to me because horror is a part of the genre of fantasy, and it asks you not only to suspend your disbelief but to use your imagination. And I've never seen a more close-minded group of people in a lot of ways. And I'm just like, how are you enjoying yourself exactly?
I think there's more open-minded, cool people out there emerging. I mean,
yeah, there are.
The point that our show has any type of following whatsoever is just speaks to that.
Yeah, and people know what genres they like and what subgenres they like, and like, oh, my thing is slashers, or my thing is gore, or my thing is whatever. But I've my main thing, what drew me to it, and what led me to want to talk to Amy to get in touch with someone that was involved with this show, was like, I'm looking at the list of films that are covered, and I'm going like, this is the stuff that's really daring. This is stuff that knows, like, the audience has seen the human body come apart in any number of ways already. I mean, there's not a whole lot more you could do as far as killing people. These films, and I'm talking about Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, It Follows, Starry Eyes, things like that. Those are the ones that are like, okay, now this is post that. There's so many more unexplored areas that we can go to. I can remember being on a critics roundtable and calling It Follows the best horror since Nightmare on Elm Street, and the heir apparent to Nightmare on Elm Street. And someone actually goes, "That's bullshit." And I was just like, "Oh, really? What exactly is so different from those two movies?" And were this 1984, would you be telling me that Nightmare on Elm Street is bullshit compared to some movie that came out 30, 40 years before that?
Yeah, The Blob is the only horror movie format that will ever be.
It's true. Of course, if I was going to make The Blob, I'd call it The Blurb.
The Blurb.
Yes.
Yeah, Amy gets fired up about that stuff. during our witch episode, she got very fired up because people were trying to say the witch wasn't horror.
Well, if you go in thinking you're going to get one thing and you don't get it, depending on where you are, that can be a really awful, enraging thing. Say, you're in the drive-thru. I was like, oh, I'd like a chicken sandwich, and someone gives you a turd.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the films, it's like, well, what are you going there for? Are you going there just because you want to see some new thing that's going to make you jump out of your seat? And if so, then The Darkness is for you, The Visit is for you, blah blah blah. But if you walk in and go see a horror movie and go like, well, whoa, that was a little different, your reaction could be like, cool, or your reaction can be like,
that's it.
Nobody's interested in that unless you're on social media. Then everybody loves that. But that's the social media is the place where people go to. But thankfully you guys are out there holding it down. It's my favorite horror podcast. You guys are awesome.
Oh, why? Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
It's all those women. They just let me tag along and put in my dick jokes, and they're very tolerant of my behavior. They're really.
No, it's a good dynamic because men are still afraid of large groups of women. There's some trauma that they've got where it's like, oh, they're all laughing at me, because everything's about them, so it's good to have the male voice on there to go like, no, wait. We're all friends here, see?
Yeah, guys, don't be scared of women. Try to get in a group with them. They're super funny.
It's just they can't discern. It's like, oh, I have to have sex with every woman that I'm friends with. I have to be attracted to all of them. We can't just coexist. That can't happen. I don't understand. It does not compute. Must drink more Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew and Bud Lights.
Cannot. Yeah. So no, it's the modern podcast. It's the modern horror show.
Oh man. We're in pretty deep right now.
Hey, up to you, man. I mean, you said that can we talk about anything? And I'm hopefully there's not something that you're like curious about that you're afraid I'm going to be like, what the hell? I think your line of question has all been pretty good.
I've got one beef with you, Andrew Shearer, and that's
me too. I got a beef with you. Here goes.
This will probably not be put in, but
you're gonna leave that fart in, though, dude.
I'm gonna leave that fart in.
Okay, cool.
I'll just throw it in randomly in the middle of the episode with no explanation. And this is, I'm not trying to nerd rage. The new I've agreed with you on all of your reviews and takes on anything that I've seen that you are talking about, except for the new Ninja Turtle movie.
Oh, okay.
And this is the only reason why, because you're like, these people are raging like it took their childhood, and I just want to. The only thing about the turtle, I tried to think. I was like, how can I get this across? How it made me feel that he would get, and it would be like if they rebooted the Muppets, and Kermit backhanded Miss Piggy.
Oh.
It's like if they turned Kermit into somebody that would be like, listen, Piggy, you better shut your mouth. Use your inside voice before I put your ass outside.
Well, a lot of people didn't like that latest take on the Muppets because there were a lot of adult things on there, and a lot of people's problem was just like, this isn't them. They'd never do this. The thing about it is, this is one person's interpretation of
Turtles just got so mean.
Well, that's that writer's take on it. Fortunately, there's been so many incarnations of the Turtles that you can really kind of just take your pick, can't you? At this point, it's kind of just like, well, do you want the original comics? Do you want the cartoon? And then there's that CG animated one that came out. God, there's so many different versions of Turtle. It's kind of like I'm a little confused at the whole cinematic universe trying to homogenize and make all the movies the same that are based on comics. Because my take on comics anyway was that. It was exciting to see all the different artists' interpretations and writers' interpretations.
Yeah, that's the fun part of it.
I would like how it survived,
Right. But all right, fine, you win.
Well, I'm not saying you're wrong for not liking it. I mean, I just happen to have had an awesome time at Ninja Turtle. I mean, the 3D was some of the greatest live action 3D I've ever seen. It was just it was a great, it was a fun experience. And plus, what was I really looking for? I mean, holy crap, it's Ninja Turtle. You know what I mean? I mean, I loved it when I was a kid, and I had to sit there and go like, would I have loved this? If I and Muppets. I've seen all kinds of weird versions of Muppets. There's any number of neat memes where they're having sex with each other. So backhanding is the least of things Kermit is out there doing to Piggy in some circles.
Have you ever watched Meet the Feebles?
Yeah, the Peter Jackson. Yeah.
What a gem that is.
It's some of it actually genuinely disturbing. The whole Vietnam subplot with that one character.
Vietnam subplot, the S&M cow.
I mean, there's something in there for everybody, isn't there?
It really was. I was way too young to watch that.
Yeah, people are always like, God, I wish Peter Jackson would go back to horror. I was like, really? What is there left for him to do? Dead Alive is the goriest movie of all time. What stone did he leave ungored?
Hey, he made a movie where a giant walrus has sex with his cat secretary aggressively.
Yeah, I don't think Peter Jackson has. I mean, if he's got something left to say with horror, I'd rather it be more in the Frighteners vein than see where else he might go with actual, you know what I mean, like the visceral horror stuff.
You and I had such similar childhood goals of working for Jim Henson.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just always kind of thought that would be the thing I would do. The Muppets were so ever present because people don't have that perspective of that. They don't realize that, a lot of times we don't realize that there was a time when very little was actually made for children that was actually enjoyable by adults too, And so it's like, oh God, we can all go to the Lego movie and laugh our balls off. That's a great, hilarious movie for everybody. But, Muppets was like the one thing where my parents were like, okay, this is cool. We'll all watch it together. And so I was obsessed with it, and I thought that would be right. Didn't you just imagine yourself one day being there right beside those people with your hand in the, if not a Muppet, something like around, the Dark Crystal or Storyteller or any of that stuff, didn't that just seem like the best thing one could do with one's life?
It still really does. That's what I need to do. I need to get into puppet making. The two saddest moments I can remember out of my entire childhood. One, when I realized that everyone I knew when I realized everyone dies. I can remember it. I was coming home from the dentist. I was all drugged up.
I like this story already.
I figured it out. I was just a little kid in the back seat, and I was like, Mom, so what's up with death? She's just like, one day you'll die. I'll die. I was like, what? Everyone dies. Crushing, miserable sadness. And then I got over it. And the second thing was when I found out the Muppets weren't alive. When I found out they weren't real things, I was wrecked. My little tiny Eddie was sad for a week.
A week? But you're okay now, right?
I'm okay now. I was very tiny.
I know someone who never got over Santa Claus.
Oh.
This is the part where you go, what about Santa Claus?
You set it up and I really didn't knock it down.
It's okay, you cut it together.
I have said if I was ever just had too much money, I would pay people to live in an apartment building, pay people to use Muppets up out of the windows. So you could be like, hey Fozzie, how you doing today? They talk back to you and you go off and do your day.
I think that's a fabulous idea, man. Why don't you do that?
Because I don't have millions of dollars. But if I ever do, mark my words, I'm going to employ puppeteers to create a living fantasy around me at all times.
Yeah, it would need to be recognizable characters, because if they were just puppets of your own creation, people wouldn't want to say hi to them necessarily, because they'd be like, okay, well, what is Jimmy the Bird actually doing up there, and where is Jimmy the Bird's other hand?
No, I want one apartment to be Gonzo's and chickens to be flying out and fish to be flying out of the Swedish Chef.
Yeah. No, it's pretty right. What's funny is the Muppets, the 2000, what was it, 2012, something like that, 2011. I can't remember which year that one came out. The one with the Jason Segel one. What happens to Walter? It was very similar to what happened to me when I went to Muppet Studios.
Oh,
My first time in California, I had that was like, right off the plane to get something to eat, and I'm like, I want to go to the Muppet Studios, and Jim Henson Studios is what it is. It's the old Charlie Chaplin Studios building. So they drive me up, we get there, and it's closed. So when I remember seeing Walter, and of course Walter gets there, and it's all the Muppets are kind of over, and everything's just all boarded up and whatever, and I was just like, oh God, I was Walter. I am Walter. Very similar experience I had. Just seen the outside, have not been inside.
I'm glad that didn't happen. I don't think my heart could handle it. So I've got to ask you, this is a mandatory question.
Yeah.
Can you give me your top, let's say 3 or 5, whichever one you would like to do, your favorite horror movies? And I would like to kind of guess one, try to guess them.
Oh, dude, be my guest. Go ahead. Are we going to do 5 or are we going to do 3? What do you prefer?
It's up to you. I'm giving you the preference.
Okay. Let's go for 5.
All right. I'm guessing the Reanimator's in there.
Reanimator's number 1 horror of all time. Not the best movie I've ever seen of all time. That's Harold and Maude, but the greatest horror is Reanimator. Yes.
Is Blackula in there?
Blackula is the best vampire movie I've ever seen, but it is not in my top movies. Not in my top horror movies. I don't consider it horror. Consider it kind of a romance, like almost like a way to live your life.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I guess number 1.
Yes, you did.
You're a fan.
Yeah, well, we did a live reading of the shooting script on my birthday.
That's what I heard you say. That I was like, what good friends for 1, and 2, what a great idea to spend your time for your birthday.
Yeah. Well, I just on my birthday I've done a number of kind of movie related things, but that was something I'd never done before, and I was just like, I was driving home one day thinking, what are we going to screen this year? Because we always play some movie, and I was like, wow, I've been reading about those live reads that Jason Reitman was doing, with those celebrity and stuff like that. And I was going like, how about an all-female Reanimator reading? And I was like, how would I get the shooting script? It's not like they sell it at the store on Amazon. A friend of mine got it for me. And to my delight, there were things in it that aren't in the movie or in the deleted scenes. So I was like, immediately, I breezed through it, and I'm just like, oh man, we got to do this. And how great would it be? And then I got my cast in my head of who I thought of my friends, the Gonzorific crew would be great at it. And next thing I know, there we were. We did it, and some people actually showed up and hung out for the whole thing. It was great. And at the end of it, a film student actually came up to me and goes, my name is da-da-da, and I'm a film student here at the University of Georgia in Athens, and I was just wondering, I find Reanimator is a horror classic. I just wanted to know why you chose to do this. And I went, because it's my birthday. That's it. Okay, so you guessed number 1. 2 is Return of the Living Dead. 3 is Night of the Demons. 4, the original Evil Dead. And
yes.
Number 5 is Frankenhooker.
That's right. I've seen Frankenhooker, Evil Dead, Reanimator, and I'm missing your other 2.
Night of the Demons and Frankenhooker. Frankenhooker is kind of a comedy. It's not, I wouldn't say like straight up horror, but it is more in the horror vein than would be any other genre. Like if I had a video store, I would still put it in either cult or horror. But Night of the Demons, to me, is when we're talking about like movies to watch on Halloween. A lot of people enjoy like the original Halloween or Trick or Treat is one people like to watch. Midnight Hour, some want to get a little obscure. But to me, Night of the Demons is the best Halloween time horror movie of all time.
Listen to this man. He's gives solid recommendations.
Well, Kevin Tinney, the director, he made a Witchboard. Also a very cool movie. But Night of the Demons is just you will be swept away. It's got its own feel. It's got Linnea Quigley. It's just I don't know. It's, to me, it's one of those things. It's just like I God, I think about it all the time. I love watching it all the time, but at Halloween, it is ultimate. I mean, it is full of cool music and great monsters and lots of nudity and some really scary deaths and some stuff that actually, um, you kind of thing that after you're done watching it, and if you're maybe alone somewhere, you're gonna start thinking about it and getting the creeps. Night of the Demons is fantastic.
I watch on Halloween every year. Ernest Scared Stupid while
Yep,
I carve pumpkins.
it's a very good choice. They're Scared Stupid and Ernest Goes to Jail. I find to be actually great, just great films in general. I'm always surprised when I put those on how talented Jim Varney was and how what was the guy's name? What something Cherry that directed those. The same guy directed like all the Ernest, right? All those movies. They just seem to have the most money for those first three. Ernest Scared Stupid is oftentimes cited as one of the great Halloween movies, and I was a little too old for Ernest when he was hitting, so I didn't actually see that until I had a video store job at a high school. I did not see any of the Ernest stuff when they were new.
That's the only celebrity death I've ever cried over.
Well, Jim Varney is a. I was talking to somebody about this, and what was I on? Oh, I was on a critics roundtable about horror movies for children, and someone brought in that one as the discussion topic, and was talking at length about Jim Varney as a talent. And I had to admit, yeah, I had not. I was not aware of just how great he was until not. I mean, obviously before he died, I knew because I watched Ernest Goes to Jail and Ernest Scared Stupid. Sometime around 95, 96, I think. But I watched like Dr. Otto and some of this other stuff that the store had, and I just was like, God, this guy's incredible. Like he could do. I don't even think the film world really took enough advantage of that guy's abilities.
No, it's a bummer.
But Ernest Scared Stupid is full of great effects, and God, what a fun movie that is. That's a good one. That's a good one to. I don't even know what my Halloween. My whole life is Halloween, so.
I'm all about instituting family traditions that are strange. Like for pumpkin carving, you got to watch Ernest Scared Stupid. Whenever we assemble our Christmas tree, we watch one Star Wars.
Yeah.
So we watch Star Wars every year for Christmas and Ernest Scared Stupid for Halloween.
Man, my Christmas tree decorating movie is Friday After Next.
That's awesome.
It's one of my favorite Christmas movies. And then my Christmas Eve movie is The Ref, and my New Year's Eve movie is Love Actually, Richard Curtis. All you Bloodlust listeners are gonna love that one.
We talked about Love Actually on one of our episodes. Actually,
Which one is that? I don't remember that.
I don't remember, but Amy actually likes it, and Amy and Jamie and Karen were all into Love Actually.
My God, what a great movie! No,
I've never seen it.
I've seen it every year for 16, 15 or 16 years, whenever it came out on DVD. That's how long I've been watching it. It's just I don't know. I think there's this misconception that people that make horror or make like weird or culty things can't possibly be fans of things like that. But actually, just as you would not trust a musician that only listens to one genre of music, I don't think I trust any filmmaker or a film fan for that matter that hones in on one sort of thing. Often like I don't know, the horror and the metalhead will go hand in hand, and they'll say, "Oh, I hate rap and I hate country."
Right.
I would never watch anything with Meg Ryan in it or anything like Tyler Perry, and I'm just like, man, you know what? Creativity requires one to kind of like be open and take everything in, and you can not like it, but to not give something a chance, I don't even feel like that's in line with being a geek in the first place, because geeks are all, being, get to know me, man. I'm more than what you think about comics. I'm more than what you think about horror. I'm not some, get to know me. I'm well-rounded. Like, well, you don't like getting to know things, do you?
No. Listen, geeks, go out and give the movie Pootie Tang a try, because this is one of the funniest damn movies ever made.
That's right. Oh God, what scene put my friend just completely out? I had a friend visiting from out of town, and she was like looking through my stuff, and she was like, "Oh God, you have Pootie Tang?" I was like, "Yeah, I got Pootie Tang. I got Soul Plane. I got How High. I got The Wash. I got all of this stuff. I got Masterpiece. I got The Hookup." I'm like, you think you know me, but you don't. I love these movies. I'm from Doraville. Okay, this is what stuff we used to get in our one movie theater that we had. Okay. And so she was like, "Oh, I gotta see Pootie Tang because it's written and directed by Louis C.K." And not a lot of people know that. So that scene where it's the showdown between Pootie Tang and Dirty D, the villain, where they are doing the kind of classic thing where the one's standing on one side and one's standing on the other. But in Pootie Tang, they keep doing these jump cuts where they get closer and closer and closer to each other until they're face to face, nose to nose, and then they're like so close that their arms have to reach on the outside of the other person.
Yeah.
She had me stop it. We waited 5, maybe 10 minutes until she could catch her breath.
Oh God, it's one of the silliest and best movies I've ever seen.
It's fantastic. I mean, Dirty D is one of the greatest villains ever. I mean, he eats dirt. He's just, and he's covered in dirt. And when he right before the showdown, "I'm calling you out, you maggot eating bitch." Who wouldn't laugh at that?
Oh, Wanda Sykes dancing alone is worth watching the entire movie.
Oh yeah, just because
Sneaky
a girl
shorty.
likes to wear fancy clothes and stand on the corner doesn't have to mean she's hooking.
You nasty bastard.
Nasty bastard. I'm gonna have sex with you too. Yeah, God, man, it's just full of great stuff.
This has so little to do with horror.
I don't believe it matters. I mean, someone that's going to listen to an interview with someone they've never heard of is taking a chance in the first place. So why not just go for broke?
I like it.
Then, at your discretion, cut all this stuff out. You could end at Night of the Demons.
Oh no, I like all this stuff. I've really enjoyed just being able to get a chance to talk to you.
Oh yeah, likewise, man. And you know what's neat about it is I think as far as people that listen to your show that aren't necessarily going to get like a whole, like a very kind of expanded view of who you are going to hear the interviews that you do with people and get to know a little bit more because you're very conversational with it. And so, instead of going like, okay, my next question is, and my next question is, and what is your advice for this? And how did you get started? You're actually you're having an actual conversation. So I think the fans of the show are going to get a lot out of hearing this, regardless of if they give a crap about me or not.
I think that's the whole why people like podcasts over phony bloating radio people.
Yeah. No, that's the one thing about podcasts. You get to subscribe into too many of them and you forget to listen to music. And so I have to do like, podcast in the morning, music in the afternoon, or something like that. I can't do all podcasts anymore.
No, have you ever gotten the podcast crazies where you realize you've listened to people talk for 14 hours straight in your head?
I have yet to hit that particular wall, but I hope I'll recognize it when it happens. If it happens, I've had weeks where for my own show I've had back to back either interviews or reviews and stuff like that to do, and sometimes some weeks I have nothing, and some I'm overbooked, and sometimes I'm just like, oh God, man, podcasting is geeky, nerdy kind of thing to be doing. I'm doing too much, and I can't. It is a little weird. You need to put on some music. Otherwise, here's what will happen to you. Here's the danger. Whatever music you do hear, that's going to get stuck in your head bad.
Yeah.
So have a balance, everybody.
I have a very, very simple job. I wash windows, commercial and residential. So I just always have one headphone in. So I end up listening to podcasts from when I get in my car till I get home from work. And often that's too much, but I've learned to regulate it. It's important, people. Regulate your podcast listening or you'll go bananas. Say,
Yeah.
why am I so antsy? Why don't I want to hear anyone at my house talk? And you're like, oh man, because you've been listening to people speak all day long.
But if you're going to listen to one, the Bloodlust.
Or the Cinemaphile, if you need things that aren't about things spraying blood out of them.
Yeah, yeah. I try to keep the horror to a. I mean, my boss is just a. I don't write for a horror magazine. I write for a daily newspaper. So you kind of can't do that.
We're still just outlaws on the outskirts of the free internet world.
Yeah, no, I. You know what my favorite like movie podcast is? Just across the board, the Rialto Report.
I haven't listened to it. I haven't heard of it.
Man, it is interviews with people that are involved in the golden age of pornography, like porno movies.
That sounds good so far.
It's unbelievable. They track down all these people, and of course, I haven't heard of most of them. Occasionally, they have somebody I know, like Roberta Finlay, because she was involved in making, some low budget horror stuff, or they had Ushi Daigard from some of Russ Meyer's movies. Some of the kind of crossover people that have been involved. But by and large, I just like to. God, it's crazy to hear their stories. Oh man, and the interviewer Ashley West, he's just unbelievable. He's so well researched, but he's also great to listen to. It's not very, dry and I know everything kind of person. It's very he has a genuine curiosity about his demeanor, and great at making people that don't want to talk to him talk to him.
That's a special skill.
It is. So I highly recommend that. What else do I really love? I love Graveyard Shift Sisters, which focuses on Black women in horror. I also love Astro Radio Z, which is mostly cult and exploitation film. I gravitate toward anyone where the discussion group is not a bunch of people being mean or acting like they're better than what they've watched. They're actually like people who are, they're not academics, but they can have a really fun conversation. So those are just a few of the ones that I really dig.
I listened to you. I listened to myself because I'm a narcissist.
Oh, is that weird? Do you pick apart what you say? I kind of don't listen back to the ones I've done, because once I'm done editing it, I've heard it twice technically, and I'm like, whoa, God, get this out of here.
I listen back to him like a maniac.
Yeah?
Yeah, I just want to. I don't talk that much on them. I like to hear everybody else. I feel like I'm hanging out with my friends when I listen to it.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's kind of the way that with the making the movies is. It's a little lonely though, because when I'm cutting the films, all the fun stuff's already happened. So I'm just watching what awesome thing already happened, and I'm by myself. Well, if you think you're going to listen back to this one,
oh, I'm sure.
You want to say hi to yourself?
Hi, man. I'm so proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing. Wash those windows. Get it done.
Sweet, dude. Eddie, you missed a spot, dude. Right over there. Right over there.
Leave those streaks, boss is gonna be on you, boy.
That actually sounds pretty meditative. That actually sounds pretty awesome.
It really is. It's pretty much like swiping in a Zen garden, but it's on a vertical window.
That is a great job for someone that writes movies to have.
See, I have all this free brain time. Do you want to hear the movie idea I came up with?
I think a question is not, do I want to hear it? Because I do. Do you want people listening to this to hear your idea and possibly steal it?
Yeah. Go ahead and steal it if you want, because I'm going to make it too. And I bet you it won't be the same.
All right, go for it.
I want to make a movie, just a quick horror short about the combination of a mad scientist / mad artist. And their whole bag is catching people and then rearranging them through the powers of sculpture.
Ooh.
Called Sculptor. Right?
That's great, man. How would you spell it?
SKULLPTOR.
That is the correct answer to that question. That's the only answer to that question.
Sculptor.
Oh, that sounds so good, man. Yeah, a little bit color me blood red. Like it.
No, I don't know how to do it, but I figure I'll just go ahead and try. It'll be fun.
That's what you need to do. Do the other people that are on the Bloodlust, do they listen back to the interviews that you do? You think they'll listen to this one?
I believe so.
All right, all you guys. Big fan of the show. Hi, everybody. Help Eddie make his movie. That's what I want. You guys have an audience now. You have what? Few thousand people that would buy it. Make it. Help homie make his movie. Doesn't it sound good? Make it. You'll have so much more cred with the horror community and be like, God, these people made a movie and they know everything about horror movies. Holy crap. People are going to be very excited when the Bloodlust releases their first film.